stepped up the way that we saw him step up during a lot of our matches over in the league stage.
Seems like IHC have stolen their variants, you know? That's what's happened.
Yeah, for sure. 39 points is awesome, though, for IHC.
For their play style.
For their play style. And again, it's really cool to see a team like that that is just so focused on eliminations just show everyone that you don't necessarily have to pump the placement points all the time. You can do it a different way. And more than anything, if you are a heavy elimination-based team, technically you're just removing points from other teams that they can gather and making it a lot easier for yourself to stay towards that top side of the bracket.
That is, I mean, a major earner, obviously. I mean, a lot of teams will sort of go somewhere near even, probably within about 20% total of their elimination points to placement points distribution. But you do have these outliers, and IHC certainly proving that that is up to the task. Alpha 7 took a little bit of an early exit from that last match, earlier than they would have liked, and had that gap closed between them and obviously S2G making a lot of headway up the tables. They are still very, very closely pursued, though, by pretty much everyone still, as we only 5 matches of points worth deep into this tournament. Plenty of ground left to cover. WBG, they're making their way up past Cruz del Valle, a little bit further north for them.
Yeah, WBG looking for another good game here. Obviously, Sue really did bring them back up to speed. And I mean, for WBG, who was basically hanging out at the bottom of the tables earlier on today, looking very glum, a bit more smug with themselves, I'd say, right now. Especially with Sue really clutching things out, getting themselves a chicken dinner, 2 off the back of it. 37 points, 5th place. It's a fantastic jump up from them.
They were right down at the bottom before the start of the last few games. This second half of the day has done wonders for their points total.
They had me in the second half, I'm not going to lie.
They certainly did. They've had plenty of teams on the ropes this time around, not least of which sit 2 places ahead of them and only 3 points. Nongshim Red Force at 1v3. The stuff a legend, Blank.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. I think that, again, there's a lot of legacy right now in PMGC as well, with returning players that have made a name for themselves in the past, and Sue is certainly one of them. The 1v3 versus Nongshim Red Force that kind of felt meant to be at the end of the day. Xavier, though, a team that's fallen down towards 8th place. And I think that, yes, they're doing well for themselves, but there's very much a switch up in terms of speed, in terms of prowess between that. Our angle where Lamborghini helped his team get 12 eliminations total. So I do think that for Xavier, there's much more to be done here in this tournament that they haven't reached yet.
Still something to stretch for, still something to see off on that horizon. See if they can sail their way on through. And you know S2G's just come on the screen because the crowd goes wild.
Instantaneously, of course.
And fair enough. They have been outperforming themselves of this last season. All of these players really starting to look a lot more cohesive than we've seen from them in a long, long time. Pretty much, I would say, since last PMGC.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they've sort of reserved themselves for this event in
Spring
particular.
season was very good for them, to be fair.
Yeah, I think there was some issues within the team. I don't think they were like drama issues. I think they were more like actual
Gameplay
broken
issues.
Bones.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I believe it was, I think it was Silas, hurt his finger. Couldn't
Something
play.
like that.
Yeah.
Was that might have been PMWI, I think that might have been.
Maybe.
I have to go back through my history books.
But obviously that's very difficult to play with, right, at the end of the day. So I think respect to them for them trying to push through. And you can see here, now that he is up to full speed, like Silas is such an important member of the team, like such a integral squad mate, that it would be very bad to lose him at full strength. And I think that the rest of the team sort of rallies around him. Up towards that northwest side at the moment. We've not really talked too much about a lot of the teams in position. There's just so much to talk about in general right now.
Not too sure who's just walked in, but the whole crowd's turning his attention his way. I think he's an S2G fan as well. They're pretty happy with that one as they roll on down the hill.
You are mesmerized.
I love it.
You're meant to be commentating.
I'm supposed to be saying what I'm seeing. I'm seeing.
You didn't say
the
anything.
crowd rallying
you
behind
looked deep into his eyes.
I was letting
That's
the
what
crowd have
saw.
that. I was letting it breathe, Blank.
I don't know how much they can hear of
The drums agree with me.
What, about the two random men?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
That's
let's take
fine.
a look back
It's
at
okay. Don't need to know that.
What have you done to me? Oh, dear.
Yeah.
FaZe back into the mix of it as they try and cross the open ground near Nongshim and near Titan as well, who have come off the back and taken down one of the Loops players. Tizzy, first to receive, and does so fairly strong. Does take a lot of damage, takes that lick back, gets the heal started. Sporter there to try and cover his flank and has to face off against Ventoras as Mela looks to res Mormon here. Ventoras opens the door to the longhouse, in through, looking for the trade. A nade to bank it off, and Sporter has the pump action. Ventora's taken low as etched has moved in for the flank. Tizzy into the longhouse as well, and Wings takes up the mantle. Ventura is caught in the cross. Tizzy steps out as Wings goes down. A trade-off onto etched, and FaZe are not going down without a fight, but Mela's now out of it. Mormon's the last to stand, has the backup of Onzins around the corner to try and play 2 versus 2 against the hold from Nongshim, and neither team looking too good in this one.
Very much back and forth here between both these squads. Either side's taking punches and the bruises start to form. Sporter, though, was a little bit stronger in this one. Onzins attempts to get in there, unfortunately gets sent back. Very sliver of HP.
Sporter last to stand now. Onzins gets that heal off, gets that first aid. Now 2 players for FaZe to keep things together, right in the middle as well, close to Stalwart, who have obviously heard everything that's gone on here. Going for a third party, I don't think it would have been the right choice. I think they're right to hold their ground, but Titan right in the middle on their split. Can they have another stronger performance that they were able to get a little bit of earlier today? They had that taste, but it was snatched away from them. This time around, they want the whole meal. In this central location, they've got that opportunity.
Yeah, I think for both sides, though, it's almost over for them. FaZe down to 2 players, Nongshim Red Force down to 1. It's kind of a horrible situation to be in. Mutually assured destruction. S2G off towards that western side.
They get the shift.
It's a really good shift for them, actually, because it's going to be difficult for them to cross that road, but they need to cross it soon rather than later, honestly, because that little valley is something that's very deadly later on. But they can get up towards that ridge side on the east. Try and stop 628 from pushing up towards them as well.
See, here's the
Crazy
thing.
and Calci inside the compound.
Here's the thing about this position, though. With the circle being such a hard shift, a lot more teams are going to be looking for these wide rotations that you can see 4MV and WBG going for at this stage. So if S2G move too far forwards, there is always that chance that they get backfilled on their position with the circle being such a hard shift. So they'll have to try and figure out what else they can go for. Sporter, in the meantime, with a pump action through the longhouse, trying to hold it down for Nongshim to try and keep consistency, stay in the top 3 at the end of the day, because IHC will give no quarter. Sporter for 1. Shouts pull, gets the second to peek on out, but Onzins only gets half his HP bar. 3 shots in the chamber, and it's Nongshim to keep it together. FaZe are gonna go down right in the middle of the tables. It looked like maybe they had something, but it was snuffed out quickly.
Out screaming less in mischief and more in pain there towards the end of the phase. Sadly for them, they'll go out. 9th place. Again, I would say for FaZe that they were able to turn things round, right? Even in this 6th match. They get themselves 3 eliminations, takes them with the 30 points total, right? It's not bad. They were really down in the dumps at the start of the day. And I think this is not a bad position to finish things off, giving themselves a chance into tomorrow. For Miracle Vibes, take a massive beating from Alpha 7. Lose 1 player out the back of the vehicle, easily finished off as well. And Stalwart over on some of the highest ground around.
Certainly has plenty of sightlines available to overlook onto that water treatment position. It's so dangerous to move into water treatment when there's a team up on this high ground hill. It's so difficult to make anything work from there, because now you got two teams looking to play either end of it. You got 4MV, Alpha 7. 4MV a lot more exposed, Alpha 7 a little bit further up the hill in the warehouse that sits on those stilts right at the north side of water treatment, but still dangerous to say the least. You Alliance ready and waiting for Zuxi. They knew what was up. They pull him straight at the back of the buggy, and that's all that's going to happen for him.
Some crazy tracking during this tournament at PMGC. It's really cool to witness firsthand the best aimers in the world at their best. And I think that some of these plays just wouldn't happen in usual PMPLs. And I think that's what's making a few of these teams struggle, that they would expect to be able to make that similar kind of play maybe in their region or in their league. It's not possible here. Those types of things of a quick rotate over open ground, hoping you don't get spotted, player's going to razz you down in 1 to 2 seconds.
Hamzy and Silas on the northern front right now, trying to hold off against WBG. And it looks like WBG more preoccupied with getting the compound out to their east, and I think rightly so. DX Xavier might want to challenge, but they have got Stalwart looking their way in the meantime across of it. And Major Pride have managed to sneak on through as well to be in these foothills. Dino looking to move on up. Chua is already down here. Might just be an easy flush, an easy pickup for Major Pride to add a point to their totals. Much needed, certainly. Towards the bottom of the end of today. IHC have taken a knock, and Godless is the second to fall. Ziol looking to move into position because Demo's already down. They want to try and keep all three players alive, but Godless just gets flushed away, and that's only 2 now for IHC. This is great news for S2G, who are looking to fend off against the teams chasing behind them on the points totals.
Yeah, and I mean for S2G overall, leave themselves with that gap of Alpha 7 having 3 players. There's an entrance now been made for him. Push on forward, push on through. The hard times of this year to conclude with trophy in hand. It's only the first day, but they're making a good case for it. Have to finish on first place though. Longshan Red Force, 3 eliminations are going out now. There was such a good chance for South Korea to get a strong finish at the end of the day here, and does feel like Miramar is just not their map.
Maybe we'll have to expect a little bit more from them on the other maps tomorrow, as we're going to have to wait to see them again. 2 teams now have their day brought to an end. 4MV seem to be pretty close to that mark, and IHC similarly suffering now, as Miramar not being kind to them either. U2 Alliance, they were able to get some pretty sick tracking shots, and it looks like Olio just dips back, playing whack-a-mole with him. He is the mole, but he's digging straight on through the totals. Excellent stuff to come on through. IHC have fallen. U2 Alliance try and sweep through this eastern side.
Yeah, U2 Alliance not looking to form an alliance with anyone at this point in time. They have really stayed off the radar of a lot of these teams, I guess, other than Titans so far. Morph taking a big amount of damage there. 4 points, again, down to 2 players. It's a real unfortunate day for Morph. And Prestige Evos, to be honest with you as well, both Indonesian squads really not find the success that they wanted. And it's almost, I don't want to say amusing, but you got your 2 Chinese teams down at the bottom there in 12th and 13th place, and then Indonesian squads in 14th and 16th. Is this where Turkey's going to be next year?
Oh. Bro.
You got your legacy winners.
Not if we can help it. Our home ground, our home turf in the UK. You know, we'll show them that support, I'm sure. If they make it, though.
No.
No, maybe not. I guess not.
Horrid folks in the UK. Mate.
That is true. Yeah, we're awful people. Don't know why we're going there. It's rubbish. Of course,
nah, we've got some good folks.
I've got at least 2.
At least 2.
Got you. We've got Kale.
Kale's nice.
Yeah, he's pretty nice. Max is half English.
Max is saying no.
Sort of. Max is a little bit British. He's saying no. He's refusing his heritage. That's fair enough.
Get his passport.
Oh, dear. No, he's repping the French, of course.
Either way, the leaderboards can change. And regardless of everything, like, they have put points up so far. Of Besieger, 628, Titans.
Ooh.
It's a nice nade from U2 Alliance.
Oh, and a second.
It's a nice nade, U2 Alliance.
They take 2. Not quite the price of one, but still, it's a deal and a half to take the start against Titan, who were already down Shadow. Now, it's just 97. And that is not going to last long. U2 Alliance handily take care of Titan over on the east flank. They've been sweeping this area for a long, long time, with Morph playing on as 2, and honestly, a very unthreatening presence in this current lobby. From the east side, U2 Alliance have a pretty decent line end to this one.
I will say one thing to you, John, is that
what are you going to say?
there is a big difference between these matches and League Stage and PMPLs in the fact that a lot of these teams are willing to take fights. And it's the change that Max keeps mentioning is that teams are willing to take center, which means they're willing to take fights to fight over that central position, which is why a lot of times we're seeing, come stage 5, we're already down to like 35 players. Apex though, making that less players.
Apex was a 1v3 opportunity there, got the flush as well. Sunan low, trying to crawl back behind, bleeding out pretty quickly there. 33Z trying to put the nades behind, and a long crawl for Sunan results in a potential pickup here. But if Apex can land the nade, it's right on top of 2 of them. Has the DBS, plays up to the corner, but it's Nerzed to look for the shot, and Sunan gets flushed away. Now 33Z in a 1v1 opportunity around the dump truck as Apex steps up to behind it, but Nerzed from Stalwart still a factor in this scrap. 4MV may have just been thrown a lifeline here to keep things together. And there it is. Apex holds his nerve in water treatment. They've been scrapping for so long around this south area, and Stalwart from the high ground able to prompt it into a finale.
Let's be honest, man, they've not hit their quota in this game. So, you know, back to work for you, 4MV.
That's true.
5 limbs, please. Loops, start things off well versus Major Pride. Effect, who has honestly been very good during this PMGC, attempts to get some shots off, but they are embroiled in combat versus Xavier.
They're busy.
So, a difficult scenario for them to be in.
Certainly the team from Vietnam giving them a run for their points towards the bottom of the table. Each one is precious. Major Pride on the north side. Next circle just about to come through. S2G still holding out WBG on the north side of their area. We'll see where the shift goes. Stalwart have been maintaining a lot of control on the south side. We spoke about the high ground before. They've extended action up towards the north. And Loop's got a decent chunk of this one. If the fight to the north concludes in a lot of casualties, there's a lot less threat from that area. I'm looking at the approach from the west, though, and thinking, whichever team comes out on top of that, it's going to be a danger to them.
Yeah, I think if you're Stalwart, I think they did the right thing, right? Is they took the high ground, they used that high ground to position players further forward whilst having the cover available for them. So that's smart, gives them the ridge. Realistically, they should have heard U2 Alliance. I imagine that U2 Alliance has taken shots towards Stalwart this entire game, so likely they're just looking to finish off those teams on the eastern side and deal with the rest later. Effect goes down to Ayala, now just Dino, alongside with Naomi underneath.
It's not really the best of spots for Dino. Lamborghini can't quite peek out because of Naomi's position, but he's going to be pushed in. Xavier going to have to leave. Paragin steps out, gets a little bit too bold there. Not going to be able to find the shots he's looking for, but knows the siding now on the door frame. Falls away from it, though. Gives Dino the chance to cross back over to hold more face. Dino may be able to get a shoulder in through the door, but not much more than that. Certainly doesn't want to take that chance. Not just yet. With only 2 players alive for Major Pride, they want to close their day out a little bit better than this. As U2 Alliance fall, they look pretty solid on the east side, but they are denied entry. The access cut off by top.
Yeah, I assume that would happen from Stalwart. It's very, very decent of them, and I'm glad that it panned out that way. Alpha 7 losing more and more players down on their side. One gets knocked. That's the fight in between Major Pride and Xavier of S2G. And a little bit of spice to the mix over on that side of things.
Looking to keep their chase up, with Stalwart picking up quite a few eliminations so far. Blank, though, they are looking good to try and resurge towards the top of the tables. This is a replay of that 1 versus 3 situation, aided by Nerzed from Stalwart himself up on the high ground as well. The final nade coming on through. A really solid result for Apex to be able to pick that one up. They'll be certainly happy to see that one come through. And Apex is still going. He's still trucking on the south.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, it's not reached his quota yet. And we had a contract. We had a contract, you know. Matchly 5 eliminations. I'm not happy until we've reached it. So we'll see what For Miracle Vibes can get done here. Morph, though, on the other hand, over towards the eastern side on the ridge. Tempting to move through. Leon, though, takes a big hit.
4MV only getting those 2 eliminations so far, so they're going to need to step up a little bit more. Action is down for Stalwart.
12 elims, though. Goodness me.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. They've climbed up. You can see them in second place right now with those elimination points. Yet to add the placements on top. So S2G certainly not only dealing with Alpha 7, but also the team from Mongolia, Stalwart, coming in as plenty of people's favorites for this whole tournament, for this grand finals. They've been doing bits. Major Pride, they shut down their day in less than honorable fashion.
Oh, I don't have to be so harsh to them. Because you can't be Major Pride of them.
I'm Major Pride.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't know what you expected, though.
It's very sad.
I think it was good that they got to
won their group. I thought they were going to do well.
I think it was good that they got to PMGC. Oh. I was happy. Didn't really expect much more after that.
I didn't expect much from them going into the group stage, but then they performed like that. They won their group.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Seven about this, actually, in the sense that, like, even though they won that group wasn't too difficult.
I mean, Vampire just weren't there, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Vampire didn't exist.
And that should have been a major force within the group.
It was a stake right through them.
It was just, I don't know, playing in the daytime. I think that was it. Maybe they should have stayed up a little bit later for that one. Unfortunately, we're not seeing them here. The PMWI 2-time champions, you know, just not able to perform towards PMGC, but
PMGC.
Loops is still in the fight. They're going at it with WBG. There's a 1-knock trade, I think, going on through, because Waimau did get taken out of it. Loops, they were playing very, very central, and WBG just moved in from the north side of S2G. They crashed onto the compound. And here we find ourselves with just Chief remaining. The nade does the dirty. The final player from Loops falls.
I mean, less what happened with how did they get here, but more of how did they get here on the leaderboards. 5th place already. It's kind of nice for WBG, honestly. But Stalwart, more than want to reclaim the throne here. I think they're hungry for it at this point in time. Alpha 7 still holding that 1st place. With a chicken dinner on board, very doable to massively leap over the top of Alpha 7, but difficulty comes in the fact that Alpha 7 still in this game over on that southwest side. S2G currently dealing with them.
Currently, Blank, our 5 chicken dinner winners are the top 5 in the tables. We'll see if they can add one extra to it. Looks pretty likely, but Xavier might have other ideas. 4MV, they go down. Blank, they didn't make their quota. You're going to be mad with that one. Look at Paragin, though, hanging on by his fingertips there as Sue goes down. Unfortunate shot there, but Lamborghini gets the flush, and they're stepping on in. They're in through the windows, and SPG going to be pretty unhappy about that. What a shot through the doors. Paragin is looking to shut things down. Ming has an answer, though, and Xavier being given a run for their money.
Ming still going. I love this. Ming, the king of the castle himself, up towards the top side. Lamborghini underneath. Looks to drop the nade out the window. It's great.
Nurzed?
And WBG will stay alive here. Nurzed helps the situation along, but a 14 elimination match so far right now for Stalwart, with likely 2 more eliminations coming through. It's going to be a big game. Silas once again.
On the west side, S2G from the east. Stalwart trying to find WBG in the mix of it, but Ming is still there. Nurzed 1v2 has backup from Action. Stalwart, 4 players, and S2G with a chance now to go back-to-back on their home turf, but they're low on the HP bars. Hamzy spotted, taken out. 2 players now. Razy's down, getting knocked, and now it is just the one Lone Ranger. But it's Silas. Can he make it work? 18 eliminations, Blank. And he's going to burn himself away. He doesn't want any of that heat. It's Stalwart.
Make that 19 towards the end. 29-point game coming through for Stalwart. And I think for them, they expected this to be a lot easier. You can tell the way they're holding themselves here. That game is more of like, why couldn't we done that earlier? Relieved that they're back on top once again, but man, there's some fierce competition here at the PMGC. S2G back at it again. You got Alpha 7 still running the top side of things, but Stalwart had the high ground in the end, and they'll have the high ground over in the leaderboards.
I don't know if Stalwart have been able to do enough. They were pretty close, actually, I think, on points towards the top right towards Alpha 7, and Alpha 7, they went down a little bit earlier, so maybe there's some leeway there. Maybe S2G able to get enough points off the back of that second place finish to be able to jump up as well. All I know is that the top 3 is hotly contested at the end of day 1. There are plenty of teams still looking to keep themselves up and conversational with those spots.
I mean, Alpha 7 have to beat out 63 points. I think they started that game at 48. Might be a little bit tough to get above that. We'll see, though.
We'll see. We'll see. 6 eliminations for action. Look how chill this man is. Goodness me. He knows what he's about.
There seems to be worry here. There seems to be I genuinely think that Stalwart thought this was going to be a lot easier. And they have been met by some ridiculously difficult opponents.
They got 18 eliminations and their MVP got 6. That shows how
19.
strong across the board they were able to get there.
I mean, it's a great final game. Only...
It was 18 because he burnt himself.
Oh, did he drop the Molotov?
Yeah.
Oh, cheeky. I thought that was one of theirs.
Silas took the point.
Damn. Okay.
But this is fairly even on terms of damage. Obviously, more eliminations going to the left side of your screen.
I mean, that's cool from Silas, though. I like that no one gets to eliminate Silas. He eliminates himself.
I mean, denying the point, and in such a closely contested top of the tables, that could be a crucial denial.
Yeah. I mean, there was 3 points denied. Maybe 2 points denied, because I think there was still one player from S2G up towards the end there. They couldn't grab him either. And then they weren't able to take up the elimination over towards Silas. They only got one. I think it was from Ray Z in those final moments, which is pretty frustrating if you are the guys over on Stalwart.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating when I only get 18 eliminations.
But it could have been a 20 element, which would have seen them really with a good buffer into tomorrow.
18 sucks. I'm looking for 20. We are going to be going to the final death segment as well in just a moment. But S2G able to put up a good fight on the west side. Unfortunately, that high ground position that we talked about to the east side of water treatment. It seems like when you give Stalwart high ground, they did it over towards the military island with the observatory position to the east side of this water treatment area as well. They were able to use that high ground to leverage a forward move into the north side of the area, take control, and from there they dominated. So many eliminations. So
right. Well, I don't really need to speak too much here, as you can hear the crowd doing all the talking for me. S2G, they don't take the victory, they take themselves to second place, but set themselves up nicely to defend that trophy in the next 2 days to play. But we really have to talk about Stalwart Esports, Max Fan's favorite team.
Oh yes, I'm jumping in, Jason. No, but we were talking about it just before, right, Seven, about how Stalwart is just such a proficient team when it comes to reaching the late game. When they have 3-4 players alive, they're going to exude so much control. They're going to be gatekeeping every single step of the way. If you were a team that unfortunately went into water treatment, you're not going to make it out. Right, so and they just more eliminations. They could have got almost 20 eliminations if they got the last 2 elims on S2G, but if they get to the late game, they're just going to win it.
Yeah, and this is perfect with what we've been talking about for the whole day, right? Especially for Stalwart, if they're able to control a certain area, they're going to be taking full advantage of it. Even earlier on, when they were in water treatment, east of water treatment, they were already starting to control that area. They were already looking out of where the other teams were going to be rotating to and making sure that whenever the circle shifted, they were going to position themselves to take those fights and win those fights as well. So overall, if Stalwart Esports, if I'm a team and I see them being able to get a good position, I'm going to be a little bit scared because of this right here. 28 points.
Matt, the fact that they sent Nozed to clear Deke Xavier versus WBG and they keep 2 plays on the hilltop, you do not see any team do that. Like, it is such an overly aggressive play, but Nozed has just been able to survive fight after fight, and they're just assisting him from that ridge on the back line, so he has some semblance of safety off the back of that. And no one does that, but it's Stalwart, so they're going to pull it off.
As we're looking at the stats here, second place, Weibo. I mean, for them to be able to now perform 3 good matches in a row.
True.
That's great momentum for the team, considering that at one point they were in last place sitting with 3 points, I think it was, before they got the chicken dinner. For them to be able to continue on this is going to be great and setting them up nicely for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, 28 points. Weibo as well able to step up. The only team really from PEL that's been able to do so far in this event. And we can see top 4 fraggers. Of course, it's going to be Stalwart. Obviously, when it comes to that last match, I mean, no other team came close. But to be honest, we saw yet again some great individual moments of greatness. You talk about Nerzed, obviously. We have to talk about Apex from For Miracle Vibes, because he's done this multiple matches in a row now where he held off 6-2-8 in a 1v3 and was able to pull that off through.
If you hear DBS, just run. Or nades. Also, the ping coming up from Apex is able to keep it alive. I feel like for Miracle Vibe, that is one thing we can see them work around, similar to loops with characters in. Not just let a solo player do all the work for you, try and play as a squad, just like a Stalwart, and it might work out.
All right. Calm down before we end up cursing them.
Are you saying you're on the Stalwart train now?
Nope.
I am not. Okay, I've said it. Legally, I am not binded to this.
While we're talking about trains, can you please get off the Nongshim train? Because ever since you got on the Nongshim train,
no,
they
Seven.
start...
No, I'm not. I'm still on that train. We'll see.
And Max, man, is using that curse to his advantage here. But obviously, you know, Stalwart, they have been so close so many times in the past.
Yep.
And not able to take the trophy. We've seen them. We have obviously IHC coming in from Mongolia as well. It's great to see the power that Mongolia has as a region. And they do indeed take the lead away from Alpha 7 at the very last match here. But you can see it's not too big of a gap between them. And you have S2G in 3rd place with 52.
Well, seems like our prediction here, 7, of Brazil or Stalwart is actually looking pretty relevant.
It is looking
More than
relevant.
I thought, yeah.
I'm actually happy that Alpha 7 is currently not in 1st place. I feel like this is a team that we're seeing in the past where they get 1st place, they get a little bit too comfortable, and then they end up losing that 1st place. I kind of don't want them to be 1st place for quite some time as well, but it's good, the performance that we've been seeing out of them. Towards the end of the day, Miramar especially, we saw Mafioso getting eliminated early on every single time. Hopefully they're going to be able to adjust that after they get some time here after this match, right, coming into tomorrow. And then for S2G, out of all the surprises that we got in today, out of all the crazy stuff that we've seen today, S2G being in the top 3 for me has been the biggest surprise. Yeah, I feel like S2G here clearly have improved so much throughout the entirety of the year. Spring season, let's forget about it. We've got to remember the fall season where they start to pop. There's a spring season?
I don't know there was one.
Nah, definitely not. But they've been able to improve significantly, and I feel like I don't know if you'd agree on this one, Seven. You could compare them to Nongsham Red Force in the sense that they are very good at understanding what fights they need to take and how they rotate. I feel like that Irango in particular, where they didn't get the win, they were able to linger in the long term of that match. They just took the fights to make sense, and that is just such a major threat in this type of lobby. And we are starting to see that more and more out of them, so I do enjoy that. And by the way, for them to be able to currently be performing, Silas being in the MVP, 2 average Illims, like, this is what we want to see out of this teams. And you were saying Silas has a land buff? Yeah, he has the land buff right now. Yeah. He's popping off.
I almost want to know his stats when he's the last player alive for his team, because there was 2 matches in particular where he was the last person left alive. He was still picking up eliminations. He was still getting them extra points when it came to placements. He's really been a solid anchor for the team so far. Yeah, he has been clearly the standout player of the team throughout today. I mean, clearly he's MVP, so duh. But I want to see Kalsi in particular. He's my favorite player from Turkey, and I want to see him being set up in such a way. But they played good today. Yep. You're going to have some VODs available now compared to the scrims. You're going to have actual real games anchored in reality that these teams can go back, look upon. You're going to see your Sanhoks, your Orangles, your Miramars, and enter even stronger, hopefully, in tomorrow's matches. Yeah, the real PMGC for me begins tomorrow. Yes. Because it's about the prep work you do tonight for the next day of matches. It's about the review. It's about the VODs. It's about figuring out what to do with your team. And obviously, you just played 6 matches back-to-back. Your day's not done. It's not even close to done. You really have to prepare for what's coming tomorrow. And the thing is, every team in that lobby is coming for you tomorrow, and they're going to know how you've been avoiding some fights and obviously realizing when you can and cannot take those fights. But I'm expecting some teams like FaZe to come back almost a completely different team. If they don't, then I'm going to write them off throughout the rest of the event. I don't think day 3 they can come back whatsoever, because FaZe has not been able to replicate that performance. But Loops in particular, this has probably been a very unexpected underperformance, underwhelming performance out of this team from Brazil. I would say very disappointment, especially even from the get-go, right? When we saw them hot drop in Sanahawk, I was like, why? What's the point of that, doing it here on the Grand Finals? Yeah, when we do it in America, it's kind of fun and all, but right now in Grand Finals, it's just for them to accept, willing to take a bad match if they do end up losing that hot drop. I don't like seeing that, but not only FaZe Clan, right? We're going to have some of the other teams, Euro Alliance, 6-8 as well.
I was expecting this team to be a lot better. I'm hoping that after they do that VOD review, after everything gets done, maybe we'll see a different 6-8, the one that I actually expected to be here, and at least expecting it to be within the top 7.
I think the one thing we've definitely witnessed today is the teams that tend to rotate slow, that works in their region, is not working now anymore. Like, you need to speed up the process. I'm especially looking at IHC, this match. I know we keep jumping on the IHC train of, like, they need to get more placement points, eliminations are good. On this game, they dropped El Azahar, northeast circle. There was literally about 50% of the circle free to take. They could have moved anytime they wanted into a phase 2, have one of the best positions, technically speaking. They could have been in Morph's spot and actually got maybe a top 5 position. A win, I don't think that's quite feasible, but at least a top 5. So I just need to see teams like IHC, FaZe, etc. just speed up the whole process, because they can fight against these top teams. They can win engages if you are in strong position, though, which we're not seeing.
With IHC, we talk about placement points over and over again. I think they ended up that day, if I'm not mistaken, with just 8 placement points after 6 matches. That's not what you want to see. Yeah, being able to get those eliminations. Yeah, one of the lowest one. That's just not going to be enough, especially with what some of the other teams are doing. We see Nonsham now. You mentioned too, SGG kind of playing a little bit more like Nonsham. We need to see more in regards to placement points.
You know, it's actually, when you're talking about 6-8, in my head, I'm for some reason thinking, you know, 6-8, they go back to the locker room after, you know, the day, and they're just like, oh, this is a tough day. And Paraboy walks in with a belt to, like, Paraboy, I mean, you guys can't see it on camera. He's right down there commentating for the Chinese broadcast as well. But obviously a lot of work to be done out of all these teams, but I'm pretty pleasantly happy with what we got out of the first day of play overall. Some high level, the most high level play we've ever had so far. We're gonna head on to the
back
stage.
to the main stage, where myself and Khan are joined by Silas from S2G. What an incredible day for you guys. I have to ask first and foremost, how does it feel to be performing right here in front of this crowd and getting this kind of response from the audience?
Her şeyden önce sormalıyım. Kendi seyircinizin önünde, kendi salonunuzda oynamak nasıl bir duygu?
Cidden inanılmaz bir duygu. Desteklerini hiç eksik etmediler. Hepsine çok teşekkür ediyorum. Şampiyonluğu alacağız inşallah.
It's just an incredible feeling. Our fans make us proud and we want to make them proud.
Well, I'm sure you've definitely done that so far. Obviously, there's more work to be done. But towards the final 2 matches of the day, you guys really seem to find your rhythm. So I just wanted to ask you guys, what have you been working on leading up to this tournament to make sure you're in top form?
Son 2 maçta ritminizi bulduğunuz gibi, daha yani gün boyunca daha iyiye gittiniz gibi. Neler çalıştınız, özellikle son 2 maça gelene kadar neler gelişti takım içinde?
Yani bugün 70 puanı geçebilirdik. Daha iyi olabilirdi yani. Fazla bir şey yapmadık. Normal oyunumuzu oynadık. Biraz şanssızlık oldu aslında ilk maçlar. Yani hep iyiyiz biz aslında. Şanssızlık olmasa daha iyi oldu.
Actually, we could have gotten 70 points. We didn't do anything different, but we were a little bit lucky in the first games. We are always good. Just luck made us gain a little bit less points in the beginning.
Okay, well, you know, we've got to touch back on the fact that we're here right now in Istanbul. Do you feel more pressure coming into this tournament, performing in front of your home country and, of course, as reigning champions as well?
Siz sonuçta son şampiyonsunuz ama burada İstanbul'da oynamak keyifli dedin belki, ama acaba ekstra bir baskı yapıyor mu? Sonuçta son şampiyonsunuz, evinizdesiniz, yine üzerinizden çok beklenti var.
Evet, biraz baskı var ama bunun üstesinden bugünkü oyunumuzu göstererek kanıtladığımızı düşünüyorum. Yani üstesinden geldiğimizi düşünüyorum. Yarın da inşallah daha iyi olacak tekrar dediğimizde. Bu kadar.
Yes. Yes, of course there is additional pressure, but I think we've shown that with our play today we can overcome this pressure and use this fuel for the next days.
Well, it's definitely working so far. Listen to the crowd screaming your name. That's got to feel absolutely amazing. Silas, thank you so much for joining us here on the main stage, and best of luck in the remaining days in this competition.
Teşekkür etti.
Ben de teşekkür ederim.
He says thank you.
Thank you so much to both of you. And with that, what a way to kickstart the 2023 PUBG Mobile Global Championships. We've had such an amazing time so far, and we already have a battle on our hands for the top spot. What an incredible last match we just had. I just want to say thank you so much to the production and, of course, all of the talent for putting on this show, and all of the players for making it to this point in the competition. But remember, the hard work has not finished yet. But most of all, I want to say a huge thank you to all of the fans, both here and at home, for watching and for supporting your favorite teams. We still have 2 more days of this competition to go before we crown our champion. We'll see you there.
PUBG Mobile 2023 Dünya Şampiyonası'nda harika bir gün geçirdik diye düşünüyorum. 18 maçlık büyük bir serüven bizleri bekliyor. İlk 6 maçı geride bıraktık. Takımlar oldukça heyecanlı ve oldukça hazır gelmişler. Yarını kestirmemiz mümkün değil. Pazar gününü hiç kestiremiyoruz. Daha dolu dolu 2 günümüz daha var. O halde heyecan dorukta. Devam ediyor heyecan. Göz gözü görmüyor.